Time again for another installment of The Basics, and let me tell you, this was not a planned episode. I wasn't actually going to film until tomorrow, but I came across a video on YouTube earlier this evening of a user named Treachery Games who was showing the complete wrong way to build and use a Borg deck for play in the Star Trek CCG, and it pissed me off to the point where I had to film this episode and go over his mistakes and show you why that is not a good idea and the proper way to do it. So let's get started, shall we? Now, it's one thing to play a CCG and then want to help other people and make videos and use your channel for good. That's what I've done. I want to help people. I'm not making money off this, nor do I want to. When I go on there and watch other videos just to see what's going on and what people are talking about, and come across a video by someone who is so out to lunch in regards to how the mechanics of the Borg in the Star Trek CCG work, I get a little angry because I don't like it when someone like that can post videos and then beginners or people that might not know about the Borg or how to use them go on there and think that's the way to do it. For example, one of his things was, instead of using multiple Borg cubes or a queen Borg cube, he says stack your deck with 10 to 12 Borg probes. Excuse me? Borg probes, range 8, weapon 6, shield 6. For the most part, unless you're using them in a side deck, maybe 1 or 2 as a spare ship, Borg probes are useless. Any Borg deck that wants to survive should use the standard Borg cube, the Queen's Borg cube, that, Locutus's Borg cube, or one of my favorites that I just started using, the Tactical cube. Any Borg deck that uses anything cube-based is going to do very well. Just read the lore of the card and the attributes, and you're starting weapons and shields, 24, 28, sometimes higher. Like, come on, a probe, really? Second piece of business, he goes on to state that you need to pretty much only have green and blue icon Borgs that in your deck, as they're the most useful. Using example of Borg Queen and 7 of 9. In my own Borg deck, yes, I use Borg Queen, 7 of 9, and a couple cards that have the triple icons, and I do have drones that are blue and green, but the red iconed Borg are some of the most useful in the game. The tactical drone, which is red, while on your ship, weapons are +2, cumulative. Guard drone, while on your ship, shields are +2, cumulative. I've showed you these cards on previous episodes and how useful they are. You cannot just stick with green and blue or one color exclusively. As I've mentioned before, you need to have all 3 colors of Borg icons on the ship for it to function properly. This one really drives me mental, and the fact that this gentleman says, and I'm using that word sparingly, that the deck needs to be made up of 30% or more of the card Awaken. I can't even begin to describe how absurd that is. A decent Borg deck, and you have to understand, I've been using the Borg as an affiliation ever since the first Contact expansion came out, and I've refined my deck according to tournaments and other players that were way better than me in tournaments that also had Borg decks that I watched and took advice from. Realistically, if you were putting Awaken in your deck, you'd put 3 or 4 in your draw deck along with 3 or 4 activate subcommands and 3 or 4 red alerts. You could also stash a few extra in your side deck if you have a side deck built on to your Borg deck. 30% Awaken is ridiculous. It takes away from other cards you would have in the deck, i.e. useful drones and other events and interrupts that would help you get along in the game. I cannot fathom why someone would go out there and say 30% Awaken. That is just ridiculous. I'm beside myself. And also, one of the main things that 30% Awaken will take away from, and especially if you're playing Borg, and I don't have it out here, I probably should have put it out, but the Doorway, Transwarp Network Gateway, you need to have those in your deck. I have a couple in the draw deck, and I have an extra one in my side deck. You do not need 30% awaken. That is beyond ridiculous. I am sick and tired of people coming up with ridiculous numbers when it comes to CCGs and then making videos of them. I'm beside myself right now because I was having a very good day and that video fried me. I don't like it when people do that to other people. Needless to say, that whole video by that user was just so absurd. The only thing I actually agreed on was the fact that he said the deck should be built for destruction instead of scoring points. But as I've said on previous episodes as well, even though my Borg deck is set up for ultimate destruction, I will still go out and score one mission's worth of points just for shits and giggles. Because sometimes you need a few points in the kitty if your plan goes awry. And in the Star Trek CCG, a game can go downhill very quickly. If you have any questions or comments, let me know below. Try to get multiple opinions on a CCG or a certain aspect of a CCG if you're going on YouTube. Don't just watch one person video. This is why I like to sample a lot of different users on there to see what everyone's talking about and how in line with the games they actually are. I do not like it when people mislead viewers and potential players. That's all for today. Have a great day, everybody.